Once again, Metro Manila is submerged, its familiar skyline now mirrored in vast pools of water, as if the city itself is sinking beneath the relentless downpour. Its streets, usually bustling with jeepneys and vendors, have been transformed into rivers by Tropical Storm Isang, a name that will be remembered for the chaos it brought. On August 27, 2025, relentless rain battered the city for hours, turning both busy avenues and quiet neighborhoods into waterways. Residents, caught off guard, were forced to abandon vehicles, wade through waist-deep water, or improvise makeshift rafts from anything that would float. Plastic drums, wooden doors, even old tires. Iconic landmarks, including the stately Manila City Hall, stood eerily reflected in the floodwaters, paralyzed along with the rest of the city. The familiar clock tower, usually a symbol of order, now seemed to mark time in a city brought to a standstill. From the grand expanse of Roxas Boulevard to the narrow alleys of Tondo, water rose with alarming speed, invading homes, shops, and schools. Vehicles were swallowed whole, their roofs barely visible above the murky water, as families scrambled to higher ground. The flood was a great equalizer, sparing no one, affecting both the wealthy in gated communities and the poor in crowded barangays. Yet, while the water reached everyone, the ability to recover was far from equal. For some, it meant a temporary setback. For others, the loss of everything they owned. For office workers and students, it meant hours stranded, waiting for rescue or for the water to recede, their daily routines washed away. For many, especially those in low-lying areas, it threatened lives and livelihoods. Emergency teams worked through the night, evacuating families, carrying the elderly and children to safety, as anxious relatives watched the water rise. The water carried not just rain, but disease and despair. Debris, garbage, and sewage floated alongside people, exposing the city's vulnerability and the urgent need for better infrastructure and disaster preparedness. As the rain continued to fall, the question grew louder in every household and on every street corner. When will this cycle end? How many more storms before real change comes? Images of parents carrying children on their shoulders and neighbors helping each other through the flood became symbols of both resilience and desperation. Waves lapping at storefronts, shop owners desperately trying to keep water out with sandbags and brooms became a silent plea for change, a hope that next year things might be different. Manila's annual nightmare had returned, a stark reminder that the city's battle with water is far from over. It's a call to action, demanding a future where streets remain streets, not rivers, and where the people of Manila can finally look forward to the rainy season without fear. The chaos was born from a deadly partnership: Tropical Storm Isang and the southwest monsoon, the Habagat. Isang's cyclonic winds supercharged the already moisture-laden monsoon, unleashing hours of torrential rain. The city's drainage, built for milder storms, was overwhelmed in minutes. Pagasa issued warnings, but the speed and severity of the flooding still shocked residents. Even with preparation, nature's fury proved overwhelming. The event was a stark reminder: climate change is making storms more extreme and unpredictable. Even after Isang moved on, the enhanced monsoon kept the city waterlogged, prolonging the agony. Communities remained trapped, waiting for the water to recede. The storm was a harsh lesson. Metro Manila must adapt to a new climate reality. Perfect storms like this may soon become the norm. For millions, the floods brought daily life to a standstill. Major roads like EDSA and C5 became impassable, not from traffic, but from deep, murky water. Public transport halted, commuters stranded, forced to wade through dangerous floodwaters. The city fractured into isolated islands, with advisories listing closure after closure. Schools suspended classes, businesses shut down, and daily earners lost wages. Parents worried as floodwaters crept into homes, adding stress to uncertainty. The city's usual noise faded, replaced by rain and distant shouts. Life paused, plans washed away, survival became the only goal. The flood exposed the fragility of daily existence in a city at nature's mercy. Manila was reminded disruption is just a storm away. Beneath the statistics and headlines lies a much deeper, more personal story, one woven with frustration, fear, and a sense of helplessness that grows with every storm. For many in Manila, floods are not just numbers or news reports. They are a recurring nightmare that disrupts lives and shatters any sense of normalcy. Residents are left physically and emotionally drained by the endless cycle of panic, hurried evacuations, and the exhausting process of cleaning up what little remains. Each time the waters rise, families scramble to gather their belongings, unsure if they will have a home to return to. The sight of cherished possessions, furniture, photographs, children's toys, floating in filthy brown water breeds not only anger and weariness but also a deep sense of loss. These are more than objects. They are memories and livelihoods, swept away in an instant. Wading through contaminated floodwaters is a daily reality, exposing people to dangerous diseases and infections. The risk is constant, and every step through the murky water is a gamble with health and safety. Parents carry their children above the toxic water, their faces etched with worry. They know that even a small cut or a sip of water could lead to illness. The fear for their children's safety is overwhelming, and the uncertainty of what comes next is ever present. The emotional toll is immense. Anxiety, sleepless nights, and heartbreak as homes are repeatedly violated by floods. Families huddle together in crowded shelters, haunted by the sound of rain, wondering if the next storm will be the one that takes everything. The urban poor, living in the most vulnerable and low-lying areas, suffer the most. Trapped in a relentless cycle of disaster and poverty, they have few resources to recover, and each flood pushes them further to the edge. This collective trauma has fueled a growing demand for real, lasting solutions, not just temporary relief goods or empty reassurances. Communities are coming together, organizing meetings and raising their voices for change. People are tired of waiting. They want decisive action, not more empty promises or photo opportunities. Their patience has worn thin, and their frustration is turning into determination. Residents demand leaders who will truly protect their communities, invest in real infrastructure, and build a safer, more resilient city for everyone, especially the most vulnerable. In Manila, frustration and fear have become a powerful call for lasting change, a call that grows louder with every flood and one that cannot be ignored any longer. In response to public outcry, the government has promised to overhaul Manila's flood defenses. The plan centers on modernizing the city's aging pumping stations, its last line of defense against rising water. Upgrades will boost capacity and introduce new technology, aiming to keep communities dry during future storms. But officials warn, even the best pumps fail if choked with garbage. Stricter waste management and community cleanups are now part of the strategy. Years of broken promises have bred skepticism, so a new transparency initiative lets the public track progress and spending. This time, the government vows, action will match the promises. Manila's floods are not just the result of one storm. They're the legacy of decades of neglect. Outdated drainage, built for a smaller city, can't handle today's intense rains. Waterways are choked with garbage, blocking flow and worsening floods. Poor waste collection and unregulated construction have paved over green spaces, leaving nowhere for water to go. Informal settlements in danger zones highlight the lack of safe, affordable housing. The recurring floods reveal deeper issues: poor planning, weak enforcement, and ignored urban poverty. Until these roots are addressed, Manila will remain trapped in a cycle of destruction. The relentless cycle of flooding has become a harsh reality for Manila's residents, pushing them to a breaking point. Each new deluge brings not just water, but frustration and anger, as families are forced to wade through murky streets and watch their homes and livelihoods threatened time and again. Now, more than ever, the people of Manila are demanding real accountability from those in power. People are taking to the streets, holding up banners and voicing their concerns. They want answers. Where have the billions allocated for flood control gone? Why, despite years of promises and projects, does the flooding only seem to get worse with each passing year? President Marcos's recent call to root out corruption in public works has struck a chord with a frustrated public. Many see this as a long overdue step, but skepticism remains. The people have heard similar pledges before, and they are watching closely to see if this time real change will follow. In response, a new government website now allows citizens to track flood project spending in real time. This tool is empowering residents, giving them the information they need to hold officials accountable and demand transparency at every level. But the demand for accountability goes beyond just financial transparency. Residents are calling for better urban planning, safer infrastructure, and real solutions that prioritize people's safety over profit. They want to see communities protected, not just patched up after every disaster. Many are questioning why risky developments continue to be approved, especially in flood-prone zones. Why are the poorest families still left in harm's way, forced to rebuild their lives after every storm, while others profit from unsafe construction? Civil society groups are stepping up, organizing community meetings and distributing relief goods. They are pushing for a new approach, one that puts people first, not just the interests of developers or politicians. The movement for accountability is growing stronger every day. Citizens are no longer willing to be passive victims. They are organizing, speaking out, and demanding a seat at the table when decisions are made. They are calling on local officials for real protection and honest leadership, insisting that their voices be heard and their needs addressed. The message from Manila's residents is clear. Enough with the excuses. The time for action is long overdue, and the people are determined to hold their leaders accountable until real change is achieved. Amid the chaos, timely information became a lifeline for Metro Manila. Agencies like PAGASA and MMDA provided constant updates, helping people make life-saving decisions. Real-time advisories on flooded roads and storm intensity allowed residents to avoid danger and prepare. Local governments and media amplified these warnings, ensuring they reached every community. This network of information minimized risk and prevented tragedy. The experience proved that robust communication is essential for disaster resilience. In a flood, knowledge truly saves lives. As the waters recede, Manila faces a crucial question. How do we prevent this from happening again? The answer lies in modern infrastructure, rehabilitating old pumps and building new drainage for a changing climate. Waste management must improve. A cleaner city means fewer floods. Stricter laws, better collection, and public education are key. Good governance and transparency are essential. Every peso for flood control must be spent wisely. Trust must be rebuilt alongside infrastructure. Creating a flood-proof Manila requires leaders, experts, businesses, and citizens working together. Every action counts, from segregating waste to demanding accountability. Today's floods are a warning, but also a catalyst for change. Together, Manila can chart a path to a safer, drier future.